You are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
Together we are...
Road.
Welcome, family. Another episode, another week of NXT UK. Thank you so very much for being with us. A pretty good show, solid, 1 hour of good wrestling, intensity, excitement, good storytelling, and, not like the same crap that we get from WWE on a regular basis. This is a lot easy to swallow. How we doing, Jean-Paul?
Good, and normally I say this is the best show in professional wrestling. With what we saw last night, I don't know. I might have to. This might be the second best show, but no. For right now, this show is my favorite. It's an hour. Like I said, it's easy to watch, and because it's only an hour, all the storylines are legit. They don't feed you shit like on a 3-hour show that we see on a Monday. So this is always good to watch. I always enjoy Thursday talking about NXT UK.
Yes, it was a pretty good show. So, thank you so much for all the comments, all the views that you give us, family. So let's start, the menu, with this. You said the second best show because we kind of have a new best show, and that's AEW Dynamite. Kenny Omega is the new AEW champion. Your thoughts on this? Sting comes back.
Yeah, this show was the best Dynamite, in their short career. This was a great show. Kenny Omega, you have in the picture here, winning the belt. Great match with Jon Moxley. It was a long match, so I guess they had to sit down in some chairs, take a little break. But other than that, this was a fantastic match. And of course, the thing people are going to be talking about, for a long time is the return of Sting, the icon. The Stinger, he's back. This is great. I'm excited for this just because of the possibilities. And you said it perfectly. When we did this review, go check it out if you haven't. This episode had so many hooks for you to watch next week. If it wasn't Sting, it was, Tuesday on Impact, with Don Callis and Kenny Omega. Or, it was whatever storyline. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, if you're really involved in that. Abaddon and, Hikaru Shida. The Inner Circle, are they going to split up? So many hooks, and, Dynamite is really delivering. So this is what we wanted, and this is what we're getting.
That's true. So, also, once you're done with that, watch NXT, go home show for NXT TakeOver War Games. Shotzi Blackheart got the advantage, in another ladder match for her team for, the NXT TakeOver War Games match that is going to have against Team Candice LeRae. Pretty good show, I will say, not as good as Dynamite, but at least, a little bit of hype for what is going to be War Games. And, Jean-Paul and I had a lot of, thoughts about this. We actually give the people that are going to be winning, we give our predictions on that show. So please check it out, and comment. Let us know what you guys think about this. So now let's move on to the beginning of this show. And this is a match that, like you said, I think that they gave it up too easy. I don't think that they should have give it out right so soon. And this was Rampage Brown going against Saxon Hasley. So tell me a little bit about this. Yeah,
these two guys, this is one of the things we said Saxon Huxley kind of reminds us of, the UK version of Bruiser Brody, but the light version, Diet Bruiser Brody. That's how this, reminded me of. And that's not an insult because Bruiser Brody was a badass, so even the Diet version would probably tear me in two. But, this match should have been something, again, what do we always say? There needs to be purpose. It should have been something this is going to determine a participant in the number one contenders match for Walter. This doesn't have to be for the number one contender, but at least to determine what of the participants for that match. There was nothing. It was just these two guys who could be in the main event who, if you didn't have Walter, could easily be the NXT UK champion. And, they just gave the match away, opening match. It was a fantastic match. They beat the hell out of each other.
They beat the crap out of each other.
It wasn't too long, though. It was, Huxley had a little bit of off it, or not a little bit, but he dominated for a little bit of the match. But this was, Rampage Brown's the guy. They said 20-year vet or 20-some-year, vet. So it's one of the things where most of his career is probably behind him than in front of him. So let's really push this guy. He deserves it. All the UK fans love him. And, they're pushing him. So I could easily see him versus Joe Coffey kind of being a number one contenders match. Or they might even be like, Coffey, you had your two shots. You'll get it later. But, Rampage, we're really behind him.
Oh, yeah,
and he hit the Dr. Bomb, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, that's badass. So, really good opening match. But, again, like you said, maybe don't give this away so early, or maybe make it a main event, maybe hype it a little bit more.
It's sniffing, Huxley's bottom, rear end, and that's the only thing that I have complain about the power bomb. How
Yeah.
At least let go a little bit, you know what I mean? But,
he was well, that's the one thing. Everything.
Did you wipe,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Before you got in the ring. But
maybe he wanted to make sure it wasn't him. He wanted to make sure it was Huxley. He's like, who's shit? Okay, it was him.
Yeah, it was him. Yes, yeah, and and then after that we got a thing also with Huxley because he was actually coming out and he encountered like Starks and another guy, another member of the NXT UK roster, and then you're like, hey, better luck next time, man. Better luck next time. And he goes, better luck next time. Better luck next time. Better luck this time. So, I mean, his character is unhinged. His character is a little crazy, like we don't know where it's going to go, which is good because a character like that, a loss will not affect him as much. Hey, maybe in his head also he doesn't mind if he loses or wins, but this should have been worthy of a pay-per-view or like a special show. That should have been kind of like a main event and not just the first match for me. But like you said, I just agree with you. Rampage Brown is the guy that they want to promote and they want to elevate. And I mean, outside of Coffey, the only person that, because Dragunov already lost his chance, kind of quote unquote, in the video that we did, that should be the guy that challenges Walter next.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, if you want to do Walter versus Coffey 3, do it, but he's the same thing as Piper Niven. How many times, and Ilya Dragunov, my boy who still is like rest in peace, we haven't seen him yet, but it's like, yeah, but it's, how many times can you have these people keep challenging and losing before, like I said, it's the boy who cried wolf. It's like, oh, I'm going to beat him this time. Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. Whatever you say, kid.
Yeah, so like it's like that. So Rampage Brown good. That started out the show. Then we have something that you said like it didn't kind of make sense. We were kind of like hearing that Williams, one of the participants of the Heritage Cup, they were about to interview, and Jose's about to be in interview, and then kind of like we see more in depth in the Performance Center, like we got to see Piper Niven going against Ginny, and they start brawling. They start going at each other. So poor Williams like, so I don't even like get to talk. I don't even get to share my
feelings about this. Yeah, this wasn't even it wasn't something like it was live. Like, oh, now we have an interview, set up. No, it was, oh, this is footage from earlier today. It's like, why do you have to make this guy look like a clown? He got knocked out by Dave Mastiff in the first round. It was like, okay, like so. And then, they cut. You could have just cut to the women just fighting because that's the story. Piper Niven and Ginny, like we said, that's going to be the feud. And, you could have just cut to them and not make this guy look like a clown. But I guess,
That's what at least a little bit of criticism. We're not being overly critics about this. It's just little pieces that could be a little better. That way we all
and the only reason I say that is because it's not like you have all of Imperium there and you have the grizzled young veterans and you have Pete Dunne and you have all your stars. A lot of your main stars are gone. This is like when all the stars from WWF went to WCW. It's like, shit, now we got to build new guys up. So you want to make everybody look legit. You don't want to have some of your guys look like clowns.
Absolutely. And that's the best point that somebody can say. So, let's go now to the women's side also. Like, we kind of go from the backstage fight or like prior in the day. And now we go to like Eva Valkyrie. Like, she goes against Aaliyah
James.
Aaliyah James, like another like extension of like what like Bailey is, with like Kylie Ray is, and one.
I was gonna say it's another Aaliyah. There's Aaliyah in NXT, Aaliyah James, and then Aaliyah Mysterio.
Yes, on the many so many Aaliyahs, and they're all.
Yeah, can we get a faction?
Absolutely different. This was a good match. Always trying to elevate this girl. Eva Valkyrie, like she's a pretty great wrestler. I will say like the intensity, she's more like I think she's more educated or trained. Trained should be the word in like jiu-jitsu, like submission holds, like she's a more like a technician because like throughout the match she was like those I remember those submission holds that she was trying to do and I was thinking that she was about to tap. That James was about to tap before that, so that was extremely great. And the only thing is that we haven't heard her talk. So, I want to see what she has to say or what's next for her. But definitely, I think that like outside Niven and Ginny, this is the girl that actually is going to take the title from Kaylee Ray. So
I agree with that 100%. She's definitely going to be the one who beats Kylie Ray because, you had all these other women and, you've done stuff. You did in these feuds, these matches. Oh, it'll false count anywhere or whatever it is. No DQ. And, still Kaylee Ray's the champion. And that's the way I think it's going to be for a while and they're slowly building her up. This is kind of like, a very old school type thing. Let's slowly build this person up. We give the champion right now just kind of, no offense to Piper Niven and all them, but just meaningless feuds, just okay, like, whatever, until we warm up. This is like Austin. Let's warm up Austin for Shawn Michaels. Like, we're not going to give it to Taker. We're not going to give it to whoever. No, we're warming it up, for the hottest person in the division. And that's what I think they're doing with her. I really like her. I like this match. I like the finisher, the leg drop, Sabu, that's badass. So
it's a pretty legit finisher.
I mean, I like the side, and I like that she doesn't talk. It keeps that mysterious because you see all the other women on this brand are very chatty all of them talk a lot, so the fact that she doesn't talk at all also makes her stand out too, especially like with her look. I love like the feathers, and everything that she had, the entrance gear, and this was good. This was another Aaliyah looked, pretty good, but this was mostly the same thing like we can say for the opening match. This was again to showcase, for the winner for Valkyrie here.
Oh yeah, like they're gonna just promote her. I think that like she's been clearly even before the pandemic. She was the woman. She was the chosen one.
Yeah, they said she's.
I don't even know where they go with it.
Well, she's undefeated on this brand, and like they said, they want to do a slow burn because they don't want to give her the belt right away because maybe they think, well, who's after that? Like who else? Because they're not really like building anybody up. I mean, Ginny is like the only other person I would say, but she's already in that main event scene, so.
Absolutely. So like, let's go to like pretty deadly, Paul. Like right there, like I don't know, they look a little darlings for me, but it's just my my criteria, my thoughts on this. And they were cutting a promo saying that they beat the Hunt, they beat also Amir Jones or the other tag teams.
Oh, Amir Jordan, yeah.
Amir Jordan. I'm sorry, Amir Jordan, and they were like, well, who's the next? Who has never been pinned? We. And like also like who's gonna pin Gallus? We are, so kind of like cutting a promo like that. I don't know if I like this. The only thing I do love about this is just the theme song.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty deadly. Like it's true though. They're undefeated. They have their heelish ways, their tactics. They don't even have a finisher. They're pretty good wrestlers, I will say, as singles guys. But like with each other, I don't see a lot of tag team combinations yet. And they're like, "Who's your favorite wrestler?" Is like you. And then who's your favorite wrestler? You. So you see, at least the dynamic is there. But like I think in the ring, they need a little bit of work.
Oh yeah, Sam Stoker, Lewis Howley. Like the more I see them, the more I'm starting to like them. But again, it just reminds me of the UK version of Breezango, and also I have the same problems with Breezango I have with them. Like you said, okay, I don't mind the funniness and like the campiness, and you see like the flamboyancy and all that we see here. But then, well, I feel like but everything you touched on, there's not enough, intensity in the ring. The tag team moves are not like, oh, look at all these, tag team maneuvers we have. Look at all these, double team moves. We're really beating these guys down. You don't see that intensity because, what do I always say? I don't care how you act outside of the ring, if you're goofy, if you're whatever, but when the bell rings, you give me legitness. If you give me legit Layla Hirsch, then we're good. But, otherwise, and they don't show that enough legitness in the ring. But yes. Also, like you said, that they beat the Hunt, they beat they beat all these teams, so they deserve that shot against Gallus. I don't think they're going to beat them, but I mean, hey, that's the feud to lead up to. You let the champions get a good win, and what all the great wrestlers say: you can have people go over and also still lose.
Yes.
So if Pretty Deadly puts on a really intense match against Gallus and they still lose, then people will be like, hey. They might have lost, but at least these guys finally showed that intensity.
You know what would be like a great way to like have them win if they win? See if they debut a combined finisher or something. It's pretty deadly. Pretty deadly instead of like a roll up. Like kind of like heelish tactics and then a super kick or like an enziguri and then 1, 2, 3. I don't want to see that. I need intensity. I need more chemistry in the ring because outside you can clearly see that there's something going on between the two. I mean, in the best way possible. I'm not insinuating anything, but that's what we have in a promo way. Now let's go with Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey going against Alexander Wolf. This was the longest match of the night, I think, and it was pretty intense. Brutality to the top. I really enjoy this. Coffey came out like the whole narrative, the whole story was like he got injured in the left arm. So like that's what like we got from McGuinness, from the other person that does the play-by-play. I like this. What do you think about it?
Yeah, this was my favorite match of the night. The main event was very good as well. So like the last half hour of the show was just fantastic wrestling between these two matches, and this was good. It started off Alexander Wolf had the advantage because it was more wrestling, and that's the one thing this brand here, NXT UK, it's old school. Like they do a lot of wrestling, grappling, wearing people down, but everything is stiff. But they can also turn it up. They can, they can go fast. They can, really be exciting. So that's why, again, this is probably my favorite wrestling show. And this match was, an example of that. Because like I said in the beginning, it was the submissions, the wear downs. Wolf is just, old school like style Greco-Roman wrestling, and then Coffey was like, fuck this, we're going bar fight. He started throwing the punches, the jabs, taking over. But this match, I really thought Wolf was going to pull it out because it was even. Wolf is one of those guys like, who he says like Tony Nese. All his matches, he looks so legit, and they're like, oh, he's the hatchet man in Imperium, and he's, oh, he's so good. And the one line that Nigel McGuinness said was so great. He's like, he's the only guy in Imperiums that never held gold, but they say that the wolf that's climbing the hill is hungrier than the wolf that's on top.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a badass line, and his name is also Alexander Wolf, so I'm like, okay, come on, be legit. I was hoping maybe Walter would come out, Wolf would get the win. That would just piss him off even more, Joe Coffey to go after Walter. We didn't see nothing like that, but it was still a good match, even though Joe Coffey, won. And nothing against Joe Coffey. I think he deserves to win, but, it would have been good to see Wolf, win a high-profile match.
Yeah, well, like, I like that when he did, like, the German with, like, the bridge. That was, like,
oh,
really
yeah, the
cool,
slow German. Yeah, that was badass.
Like, he did also, like, the Death Valley drive. So, like, we have it right here in the picture. It's a pretty nice move. He let that go, and Coffey was about to be done.
Yeah, he even hit I forget what the combination was, what he hit before that, but he even hit like a jackhammer almost.
Yes, kind of, yeah. They were like a big duplex, yeah. So, like, you see, like, Alexander Wolf has, like, all the ability in the world, but, of course, like we said, like, Rampage Brown, he has, like, some kind of rival in Joe Coffey, because it seems like he clearly wants to go after Walter. He's not done from the match that they had in NXT TakeOver, so he wants another shot at that. So I see the two of them feuding for that number one spot. But, like the narrative, again, he was like kind of like he kept shaking the hand. He kept shaking the hand because it was still injured. So he delivered the best of Belfast, I think, or the best for Bellas.
It's the best of the bells, I think.
The best of the bells.
Yeah, he hits like it's almost just like a clothesline. He hit it with the right arm instead of the left. The left one was injured. So and I like the ending before that too when he I think he hit it or he hit one of his moves and then he went like Alexander Wolf rolled out of the ring and then they were fighting on the apron and then when he rolled him back in he had his foot on the ropes and that's why I was just like, okay, this is leading up like I said. Where's Walter? We're gonna see Walter. We haven't seen him in a little while, but then like you said, he gets the best of the bells. And then another thing that like I don't like because this brand is so serious and it's so good, and Gallus to me is a serious team. Then they come out and they're like, and I'm like, really?
That's kind of like that. The only thing I understand from that is because they're kind of like Scottish or like Irish or like soccer related. So kind of like come out and they're like like because when you win, you gotta celebrate. So like I give him the pass, but I agree with you because they should just
just because because Coffey's so serious.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like that's like it to me. It's like Undisputed Era. How are some weeks they're like, oh, we're Undisputed Era, we're badass, and then the next week they're like, oh, what's up, bro? And I'm like, really?
Yeah, I agree. I think that what they did is just like because like they were I guess so happy that they beat that Coffey beat Alexander Wolf. But the one thing I like is like they give them time. It's not like okay, we know that Coffey's maybe in Tamer like who's like being pushed the best. Coffey is like way above like Alexander Wolf, and we get to see like 2 minutes finisher and done. No, we actually see a good match. The guy looks strong. He could have win. And like you said, I'd much rather see him win and then come by Walter. Then we see what's the path for like Joe Coffey. We didn't see that. So that's still intriguing.
Yeah, because you could have even had Walter come out and then it's like, okay, after the match, they start beating down Coffey. Gallus comes out. Then Gallus technically has, even though Walter is as big as two men, Gallus has the advantage 3-on-2 because the rest of Imperium's not there. And then, now Gallus stands tall. That pisses off Imperium. So now that's really, reignites that war again.
Yes, and then that would have been great, but we didn't get that. So what we're going to get actually is our Cruiserweight champion, and that is Jordan Devlin. The only one of the two, because we have Santos Escobar also. So he's delivering a promo to be the man. You got to be the man, and I'm looking for competition. So what I'm going to do next week, I'm going to start an open challenge. So anybody that's under 205, we're going to have actually a match. You can, step it up and try to beat me and, have a Cruiserweight Championship opportunity. And let's see what you can do against the Irish Ace. So, next week, Jean-Paul, NXT Cruiserweight Championship Open Challenge. This is good, and it still opens the door for, like, many people, to get an opportunity to kind of be showcased. I'm not against that. He will be extremely badass, and one of them is Santos Escobar, or one of the Legado del Fantasma, because that will extremely, show what they're going to do next. But at least this gives Jordan Devlin something to do until, like you mentioned last week, we did like Royal Rumble or Worlds Collide. So,
yeah, and you said it perfectly. You took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, maybe that would be jumping the gun, but how cool would that be? He's like, all right, let's see who it is, or maybe you even send out some joke guy and he beats him in 2 minutes, and he's like, or like, really, that's it? Send me out somebody else. and then boom, Santos Escobar, Legado del Fantasma, their music hits, and then it's like, oh shit, like, maybe you don't want to jump to the conclusion right away, but that's what I think this needs to end with, the open challenge thing, because Santos hasn't really addressed it too much. He hasn't really come out and been like, I'm the real cruiserweight champion. They're kind of doing their own thing. Yeah, you have Jake Atlas, RC. Now, this would maybe bury Jordan Devlin, but if you could keep doing this and maybe Jake Atlas comes over and wins it from Devlin, comes back to UK, and then it's like, boom, Michaels and Razor, let's do this thing.
Yeah, it could be.
You could do something like that, and then that would be really cool. But we'll see. I like this from Jordan Devlin. This is going to be next week. Something that from another superstar that I still like, but I don't like this next week, and that's going to be Noam Dar. His sit down, or what do they call it? The Noam Dar
Supernova session.
Yeah, there you go.
This is next week. Right
this guy is a hell of a wrestler. He has charisma, and just because he has charisma, like the Miz, doesn't mean you have to have him have a sit down Miz TV like show. I mean, this could be good. NXT UK is good. This might be something where they say, oh, he's going to ask the tough questions and do all this stuff. I mean, this might be good. And if he has somebody and it sets up a feud for him, then good, because unless this guy's hurt and this is just a way to keep him relevant on TV while he recovers, I didn't hear anything, but if that's the case, then that's fine. But unless this ends with him being in a feud, he's too legit to just be hosting a talk show.
Let's hope on the Lord that this doesn't turn into a joke, because at least not to NXT UK. Please
no, because I say, he's too legit. He needs to be in the ring wrestling.
Yes, I agree with you. So hopefully they just keep it a little bit more wrestling rather than it's talk show, pop culture, any of that. So that's what's going to be debuting. Two things we're going to have next week. And now let's go to the main event. Throughout the whole show, they have promos, vignettes, pictures of this whole rivalry. It was pretty good. I think tag matches on NXT UK are absolutely respected. They're taken care of seriously. So this is the Hunt going against Mac Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. Excellent match. The whole rivalry, describing it from a year ago, even when Mark Andrews was attacked the first time, then Flash Morgan Webster was attacked the same way. Who did it? That was the first question. That was the main, intriguing thing. And then finally, Eddie Dennis comes out and says, it was me, and I did the whole thing.
It was me, Austin.
It was me, Austin. It was me. It was me. And now he has, in the Hunt, two guys that, are going to, be his pretty much lackeys, or, the people are going to help him to come up with the master plan that he has. Well, what are your thoughts on this? I really enjoyed this, pretty good match, and actually the winner that was supposed to win, they won.
Yes. This match, to me, there was really nothing wrong with it. Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster, their team. We love them here on Rope Break. We have since we first started covering UK pay-per-views. Probably over a year ago now. Yes. And they were the tag champs. They're legit, and now the team's back together. Mark Andrews is back. Like you said, who attacked him? Was it the Hunt? Who did this? Eddie Dennis, and this is all a feud because it's not. It's such a good feud, is what I meant to say, and it's because it's there's years in this. There's history. Flash Morgan knew the board when they were 12. He's like, oh, we set up a ring in your garden, and we were legit, and Primate, and he does. They all kind of have this connection. Or Eddie Dennis and Mark Andrews, but this is really good. This match was good, and like you said, the right winner won because the heels. You have Eddie Dennis now with the Hunt. That if they lost, that would have been the most biggest. So that would have been like the Dark Order. That would have been Dynamite with Will Hobbs and all with Ricky Starks. You don't have build these the heels up, especially with the new manager and all this stuff, to have them lose. And also Morgan Webster and Andrews, they're the underdog team. They're the team that will always be climbing up the hill. They'll always be the team that has the odds stacked against them. And then when they win, it's the huge pop. That's what they are. They're not going to be the team that constantly wins and dominates. They're not going to be like the Young Bucks and be like, oh, look at us. No, they're going to always fight from behind. But this was good. I love the spot towards the end of it when Andrews hit the double tornado DDT.
DDT. I was going to mention that.
Yeah, that was a legit spot, and these guys are so good, and the chemistry's there. The only spot which I was a little bit is when he hit that Slumdog Millionaire. You clearly see Primate was picking him up and moving him and everything.
Yes, yeah. But this kind of like a God Ranch powerbomb, but a Slumdog Millionaire. I kind of I kind of thought of the same thing along those lines. But I also enjoy see the Hunt they're not known for being flexible and agile,
Yeah.
But like they were able to play the same kind of style that like Webster and Morgan, so like Andrews. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Like the sequences were really fast, and like hard hitting, you could hear like at all times. I like that. The finisher I enjoy though, because of course Eddie Dennis. We mentioned this. Remember last week we said Eddie Dennis is going to be a factor. Yes, he was, because like Andrews was on the top. He was about to dive, and then he would just push him, and then of course Dan, and then like Hun got the advantage on that, and then the finisher is just like. Oh, I think it's Primate, the one that sets him up, right? And then he sends it up to like Walpor, and then he does a power bomb. So that's cool. And then that's how they won.
And like we said, look at that. Look, it's a tag team finisher, pretty deadly. Come on, like let's be legit here.
Well,
but no.
like you mentioned this a few in one of the shows we did. You said that tag team needs to have certain qualities. Look the same. The music needs to be a matchup. They need to have some moves that they do together, and it has to be a tag team finisher. 3D. Things like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So and this was good. This was the right winner, and now I think maybe we'll see a rematch. Because Eddie Dennis was I'm in a rematch, not with these two. I think we will, but also maybe a rematch if these guys want to go after Gallus. Maybe we'll see a rematch with the Hunt versus Pretty Deadly now, because wasn't he kind of with Pretty Deadly? Now he's with the Hunt.
Yeah, kind of like they tease it a little bit. Like
so now
attacking to manage or something.
Yeah, so now he definitely he picked his guys. This is the team. This is the threesome. So now to go against Pretty Deadly again. Maybe they want to do that, or maybe the Hunt will be feuding with Andrews and Webster for a while, and then Pretty Deadly will have their shot. They'll lose, and then once the Hunt wins this feud, which they should, and then they can move on to Gallus. So we'll see. But I mean, the tag team division right here. We touched on it in the AEW review. We plugged it already. Go check it out. I'll plug it here again if you haven't already. But like the tag team division in AEW is stacked, but it's all over the place, and it's not good all over the place. But NXT UK, I think, has the best tag division. They said it, their first episode back. Our tag division is the hidden gem in the wrestling world, and I agree with it. They have legit teams, and all of them, feel good. We joke about Pretty Deadly, but once they hit that finisher, then we'll be like, wee, then we'll be
one of the ones actually they proved that they can be a tag team in the ring. We're going to be really excited about this. But this was the show. This is what we have for you guys today. I think it was and the one thing that NXT does, NXT UK, they don't have the champion all the time. Walter, we haven't heard from him. Ilya Dragunov, I don't know where he's at. Maybe he's in the Impact and AEW situation. Maybe he's negotiating with both of them. Who knows? But always they give us something special at the end. And it doesn't matter if it is the girls. It doesn't matter if it is tag team. It doesn't have to be the Walter, the champion all the time. So it's good. You kind of always get fresh matchups. Like you mentioned, the good old NXT. Is actually translated NXT UK. So this is what it was, families. Thank you so very much, and help us out, with more subscriptions, hit the bell for notifications. And where else can they find us?
You can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in wrestling, the Original Rope Break.
Family, thank you so very much, Jean Paul, and you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is.